All right, let's get right into it. You've probably heard this term buzzing around the tech world lately, vibe coding. It's this idea that you can use AI to just whip up code super fast based on a general feel for what you want. But is this really the future of building software? Or is it just a shortcut to creating a total mess? That's what we're breaking down right now.
And let's just start with the absolute heart of the debate, summed up perfectly in this quote. What's so wild here is who said it. That's Boris Cherny, the guy who actually created a major AI coding tool. So this isn't some critic on the sidelines. This is one of the chief architects of the technology telling us, hey, there's a huge difference between code that just works and code that's actually built to last. So to make sure we're all on the same page, what is vibe coding exactly? Well, think of it this way. You tell an AI your goal in plain English, your vibe, and poof, it spits out the code. The whole point is speed. It's about getting something that functions right now, and often you're not really digging into how clean or efficient or even how secure that code really is. And hey, real quick, if you're getting something out of this and you want more explainers that cut through the noise on the big topics shaping our world, just take a quick second to hit that like button and subscribe. It honestly helps us a ton. Okay, so to really understand this tension between speed and quality, we've got to get an expert's take. So let's dive a lot deeper into the thinking of the man we just quoted. Our guide for this is Boris Cherny. And remember, he's not just an observer here. He's the engineer behind Claude Code, a tool from Anthropic that huge companies like Meta are using. So when he talks about the limits of AI coding, he is speaking from deep, deep inside the machine. And Cherny's main point is laid out so clearly right here. Vibe coding? It's awesome for certain things, prototypes, little scripts you're going to throw away, or for empowering someone who's not a coder to build something simple. But, and this is a big but, when the stakes get high, when you need code that is maintainable, secure, and has a thoughtful design for a critical system, that's where it just doesn't work. It really is the difference between a quick sketch on a napkin and a full architectural blueprint. And you gotta love the honesty here. Cherny just comes right out and says the models are still not great. But it's that second part of the quote that is so, so important. This is the worst it's ever going to be. I mean, that one line just perfectly captures the whole situation. Today's tools have real flaws, but the pace of improvement is so ridiculously fast that tomorrow's are going to be on a completely different level. And that incredible speed brings us to our next section. Because despite all those limitations we just talked about, AI coding is not some little niche experiment. No, it is absolutely exploding across the entire industry. If you want to feel how fast this is all changing, just look at this timeline. I mean, think about it. Just a year ago, AI coding was basically a fancy autocomplete. Today, we have these super sophisticated assistants. Cherny himself says the progress has been insane. And if we follow this path, by next year, we're looking at what he calls a completely different world. And to see what this looks like in a real world, here is a hard number for you. At Google, one of the biggest software companies on the entire planet, AI is already writing over 30% of all new code. That is a massive, massive footprint, and it's growing like crazy. And if you thought Google's number was high, just look at Anthropic itself. According to their CEO, an absolutely staggering 90% of their own internal code is written by their AI, Claude. This just shows you how deeply the companies actually building these tools are weaving them into everything they do. This massive adoption is really being fueled by the kind of optimism you see here from Google's CEO, Sundar Pichai. And he points out another huge part of the vibe coding story. It's not just for the pros anymore. It's making development way more approachable and, frankly, more fun, which is opening the door for tons of non-technical people to actually build stuff. So we have this massive boom, right? At the exact same time, we have experts warning us the AI still isn't great. So what gives? How do you square that circle? Well, the answer is in how professionals are using it, not as a replacement for their own skills, but as a powerful collaborator. Which brings us to the million-dollar question, right? If these models are flawed, how in the world can someone like Boris Cherny trust them enough to write 90% of his company's code? Well, the answer isn't to trust blindly. It's to collaborate smartly. Okay, so this is the expert's playbook right here. And notice the partnership. The human acts as the architect, right? They set the high-level plan. Then the AI comes in as the builder, handling all the tedious work in small chunks. But then, and this is so crucial, the human comes back as the inspector, reviewing the work and telling the AI how to fix it or clean it up. It's this constant loop of human strategy and AI execution. But here's the bottom line. The human is always,
always in the driver's seat. Yeah, the AI handles the bulk of the repetitive work, but when it comes to the most critical pieces of the code, the parts that require real nuance and deep expertise, the expert still steps in and writes it themselves. The AI is an incredible assistant, for sure, but it is not a replacement for expert judgment. So let's try and bring this all together. The consensus from the people who are actually building and using this technology every day is pretty clear. This is a powerful new tool, but it is not magic. And like any powerful tool, this one comes with a pretty serious warning label. The leaders in this space are very clear. AI-generated code can be flat out wrong, it can be bloated and messy, and it can lack a good structure. But probably the biggest risk of all is that it can quietly introduce serious security flaws that a human expert might totally miss without a very, very careful review. This quote from Sundar Pichai about how he personally uses these tools, it really says it all. Even as he's celebrating the technology for making coding more accessible, he admits that for his own projects, he's not using it for the high-stakes stuff, where quality and security are everything. So what's the ultimate takeaway from all this? I think it comes down to this. Vibe coding has made speed easy. Generating code is faster than it has ever been, but quality, code that's secure, that's maintainable, that's truly built to last, that still requires the one thing an AI can't replicate: careful, critical, human thought. So the real question for our future isn't if AI will write our code, but how we're all going to learn to think and create and build right alongside it.